around. And it was one of those things too that before we had sex, I had questioned him several times. He had begun producing different artists like Mandy Moore, and I think this was around 1999. Mandy Moore, Britney Spears, and some other artists prior to that, doing a lot of choreographing. And I had asked him, his behavior was changing. It didn't sit right with me. Are you sleeping with these women? And he's like, no, what are you talking? I would never do that. These are business relationships. These were always his.
And this is before you guys became sexual.
Exactly.
And you had suspicions. Do you remember what those suspicions were based on?
It's. I'm going to call it a woman's intuition. You can feel when something's changing with somebody that you're very close to. His just entire behavior was changing. When he would go to choreograph certain jobs, he would try to be more secretive about them. Didn't want to tell me exactly who was there and when he was coming back. It was just very weird, and it just doesn't sit right with you. You know that something's wrong.
Now, you have no doubt that Wade is a heterosexual, correct?
Absolutely.
100%.
100%.
And you would know if he was not.
Yes, 100%.
Right, so he's 100% heterosexual in your mind. You never got any sense he was bisexual, did you?
No.
And you assumed that he was a virgin when you had sex, but you no longer believe that? Where do you stand?
No, that's correct. So, like I said, I had been questioning him about this. Our relationship turned into a sexual relationship, like I said, around the age of 18, just before 18. And the suspicion started to grow even more. I could just tell things are not right with him. We should be growing even further, and right now we're kind of pulling apart, and I didn't understand why. So I started questioning him some more, specifically at this point with Britney, because his behavior was becoming significantly different with her.
Britney Spears.
Correct, Britney Spears.
And again, this is when you're both about 18 years old.
Yeah.
Or maybe before then.
It is when I started questioning, yeah.
Okay, so you now believe that he was having an affair with Britney Spears before you guys became sexual, or somewhere in that range?
In that time, yeah, in that range. I know that he was pursuing her. And so that's what I in hindsight, when you start to put it all together, he had been pursuing her, but he was positioning himself more so. I honestly believe he was positioning himself to just become part of that project. And as Justin, my understanding is Justin brought Wade
Justin Timberlake.
Exactly. Brought Wade onto the project to do production, not just choreography, but to do production now. And then that's when Brittany and Wade really got closer and began sleeping with each other.
And what are you basing that on? It's been rumored quite a bit, but I mean, do you have anything other than women's intuition, or what are you basing that on?
So, there's somebody, we have a mutual contact that's very close to both of us. Not just it's not just somebody that we both
mutual contact between you and Brittany,
between Wade and I.
Okay.
Yeah, and when this came out in the media with him and Brittany, with Wade and Brittany, I questioned Wade again. At this point, I was adamant. This has to be true. Look at this. He said, Brandi, I swear to you, this is not true. Then I got a call from our mutual friend, somebody that's very close to me and very close to him. And they didn't know that I had already been questioning this. And they told me, Brandi, I have to tell you, Wade is sleeping with Brittany. He's sleeping with this person's wife. He's sleeping with this underage girl.
By the way, when you say this person's wife, it's a famous person.
If there's a famous person.
Very famous person's
absolutely.
Wife. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just got the rundown. And I knew this person is extremely credible, and I knew that they weren't lying to me. So I immediately called Wade, and I confronted him on all of these things. And he just kind of paused and started crying, asking me, how do I know this? Who told me this? How could I possibly know these things?